everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So there's definitely some movement in our market and a few trends that are promising. So looking at the numbers this week, in Georgetown we had 14 sales, which is a very good week for Georgetown. I mean, it's showing that buyers are active, and that's really what we need to keep this market moving, especially with the inventory we see coming up. We had 23 new listings in Georgetown this week. That is so many new listings, and that's feeling very consistent right now. So we just are gonna get into an inventory pickle again if this just keeps up. So I'm hoping things slow down, but based on how my business is and the coming soons and all that, I really don't think we're in for a slowdown, so we really need buyer activity to continue. Acton had 5 sales this week, which is a big week for Acton, and 7 new listings. Glen Williams saw 1 sale and no new listings, and the rural market saw 3 sales, which was an okay week for the rural market, but 6 new listings. Something to note, of the 22 sales that we saw this week, only 7 of them were under $1 million, so we're definitely seeing our higher end products selling, which is a shift versus our normal trends, and it's not great news for that lower part of the market. But something also notable is, of the sales last week, 4 of them were over $2 million. So all of a sudden it's just like, oh hey, we've got some big ticket buyers out right now. So I definitely think that that's a trend we're going to be watching, because normally we don't see those higher ticket things selling. So that was a really interesting week when I saw that. Looking at the properties that terminated and expired, we had 26 properties that kind of adjusted. Of those 26, 8 of them came off the market, which is, you know, the only thing that really saved our inventory from skyrocketing this week is 8 people were like, nope, I'm not getting the money I want, I'm coming off the market. 18 people readjusted, relisted, and came back with a lower price. So we're definitely still seeing our price points go down. And although things are busy, if we have a ton of supply, inevitably our prices are going to go down. So that's sort of where we're at on that front. So looking at active inventory in Halton Hills, we are up to 273 active listings. It's a ton of listings. That's up from 269, so not a huge jump. And again, that is because of those properties that terminated. We saw quite a few new listings versus sales, and so thankfully we had some people exit the market, and it helped to keep our inventory somewhat stable. Georgetown this week went up slightly from 155 to 156, so not a huge jump. In our price points, under 800,000 has 28 active listings. There are so many condo apartments available right now. There's just like, there's a lot of those, and a lot of condo townhouses. We do have, I think, 7 or 8 properties in that pocket that are freehold, so there's some decent value out there to be picking up, but it's just not super busy. 800 to $1 million is up slightly to 39 active listings. Most of this is sort of our townhomes, semis, and like Delrex area bungalows. There is so many things to choose from. So we're going to be watching that number, because if those things aren't transacting like we saw this week, that is just going to pile on our market. 1 to 1.5 million. I mean, I still just laugh at these numbers every week because they are so high compared to where we've come from. So that number is up from 67 to 73 active listings. That pocket is so saturated, and that's where we're seeing a lot of our price reductions, is in that pocket, because people can be off by 100 or 200,000 up there, and we're definitely seeing people coming down there. And then 1.5 million plus, with all the sales this week and a termination, is down to only 16 active listings from 22. So we saw a lot of our big ticket products selling this week, which is odd. That's just an odd thing, and we're going to be watching that trend, because I would be surprised if that continues. So now looking at Acton. Acton is up from 36 to 38 active listings. There's just so many houses available in Acton. I mean, the good news is we had 5 sales, like things are moving there, but 38 active listings. Literally this year we were at single digits at certain points, so 38 is a lot. Glen Williams is up to 13 active listings, a lot of stuff available in the Glen, and the rural market is sitting at 66 active listings, down slightly actually, because a bunch of the terminations were there. From 67 active listings. So overall, I would say there's some, overall, I would say the good news is that the market is moving. You know, when we look back to like March, when we had like 40 sales in a month, it was like, oh my gosh, can we just get a buyer to like pull the trigger on a property? And I mean, we had 22 sales last week. That is a strong week for Halton Hills. If we do 4 of those, you know, we're kind of up near that 100 mark of sales, and that's a strong month. So we have definitely seen buyer activity pick up. Our biggest problem right now is just the sheer volume of listings hitting the market. Eventually, the prices, like, we'll still see stuff moving, but prices are going to have to soften. Just there's so much competition. I went out with some new buyers last week and their budget's around $1 million, and the amount of stuff that we could see, like we spent 3 hours out looking at properties and we didn't even get to everything, and we were really selective. So it just shows how much stuff is out there right now, and the market is doing better than it was, I think, in the spring, like 100%. This is a much stronger market update, but we have inventory levels climbing, and we know that if we get to the point where those hit like over 300 and stuff, that our prices are really going to start coming down. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see just how big of a gap we have every week between listings coming on, buyers, and the amount of properties coming off the market. And hopefully we can stay somewhat balanced, because the fall does feel stronger, and hopefully we get an interest rate drop tomorrow. So we will see what happens, and I will be back next week. Have a great week, everyone.